Alright, think I am. Audio's on? Yes, it is. Alright, cool. Alright, welcome back to the 5th episode. Today I got a pretty short story. Probably shorter than the Goatman story. And it's a good one. It's a pretty good one. Not like a spooky one, like the Goatman, if you can even call that one spooky, but it's a funny one, pretty funny one. One of my personal favorites, actually. And even some of my closest friends don't even know the story. Or like when I tell them, they like don't care. I'm like, how? But the story is honestly hilarious. But maybe I just think it's funny. But I don't know. You know what? After I'm done with the story, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Notifications, bell, whatever. I don't care. All right. So, okay, you know what? Jokes aside, let me just get right into the story. Let's just get right to it. So, how do I explain this? Okay. I was. This was probably. Yeah, it was freshman year of high school. And that day was the last day of rowing crew. Like, it was the ceremony itself. Also, I want to add. What the heck is this doing here? Just in the woods. I kind of saw it in the distance. But anyway. Um. So. Yeah, it was like the last day. It was like, the ending ceremony where we were all kind of like congratulate. Oh, what an amazing season this rowing crew was, and blah 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 blah. Which, by the way, that was a sport I did for like 4 years, like 3, 4-ish years. I was decent at it. But anyways, that's another story. And on that day, I was really hungry. Like, very hungry. I didn't eat anything that day. I normally buy lunch at the school cafe, but I was short on cash, so I was only able to get like a fruit snack or something. And even then, those things, especially on an empty stomach, aren't the best. Kind of hit you like a ton, really do. And very bad, very bad. Also, um, I just want to show you something real quick. I'm just gonna sidetrack a bit. Can we talk about what's coming up here? Like, oh, let's get out there, but yeah, I was just very hungry, and I was just the whole day. I was just kind of holding my stomach, but hey, that's okay because at the ceremony, we're gonna have like this huge Italian dinner or whatever. It'll be cool. So, yeah. So it was on the last period. I was very, very hungry, and I was like clenching my stomach, and out of nowhere, it just starts hurting really bad, like abnormally bad. So I'm like, oh geez, like this is the worst feeling in the world. Like, I need to go to the nurse. So I tell my teacher, like, hey, I really need to go to the nurse. It was like the last 20 minutes, and I was like, can I take my bag? I'm really not feeling well. She was like, all right, cool, and give me a pink slip to go to the nurse. And I literally, uh, I want to say limping, but I was like holding my stomach. I was arching my back down. It was that painful. And I was in a pretty big high school too, so I had to walk like quite a few minutes just to get to the nurse's office. So it was a very long and painful walk. I remember that. And I tell school nurses, like, what problem I'm having. I'm like, ooh, like, something in my stomach. Like, I think I'm like really hungry, but have this huge sharp pain, like, right here in my stomach. And the nurses were like, oh, whoa, uh, wait, can you point to where you were pointing again? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you were pointing on like your lower right side of the stomach. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of where like the pain is kind of is right now. He's like, oh, oh shoot. I'm like, what was going on? He's like, you might have appendicitis. I'm like, what the heck is that? And they were like, now they're like explaining to me what appendicitis is. And basically what appendicitis is I have this thing called the appendix on like your long or short intestine. I don't really know or care really. But sometimes it's basically useless. It kind of just holds bacteria, like good digestive bacteria. So I guess that's its really only purpose. But other than that, it's pretty useless. And sometimes it ruptures and can kind of spill, things that you were about to poop out. And that's pretty deadly and also very painful. And by the way I was describing it, like, oh, it was painful, I could barely walk, and like, I was like holding my stomach like really hard, and like, it's like, ooh. So, yeah, the nurse was like, okay, so we normally get this kind of stuff happen like once a year, like someone comes in with like a ruptured appendicitis or something. It is quite common, so it makes sense. So they make me sit down on a bed, and the nurse immediately calls an ambulance to come, because appendicitis is like a real thing, like a real bad thing. And my mother to come, and the principal. So, like, she's getting a lot of important people for this thing, and after she called all those people, I felt much better. And the reason why I felt much better was because, like, I just felt it, like, kind of, like, fuse out like a balloon. Kind of like I passed gas. And I felt completely better after she made all those calls. And I'm like, oh. It's like, oh man, like, after she called, like, it wasn't good. So I was trying to tell her, like, I actually feel much better now. Like, look at me, like, I can, like, stand upright and all that. Like, I don't feel it anymore. I'm perfectly fine. And like the nurse is like, no. I insist you get back on that bed. Like, you're probably not fine. I'm like, okay. But no, I know I passed gas, so I know I'm fine. And so I'm just kind of like sitting there like, oh god, what do I say? Like all I had to do was like fart or something. It was a really painful fart that was holding into my long intestine, which apparently is also pretty bad, according to my sister. But I don't know. But I just released it. I'm perfectly fine now. So yes, like I was like, oh man, what do I say to all these people? No. But let's just say there's a bit of a hold in place just for a few minutes. And so the people with I forgot what they were called, but they basically had that chair so they can like kind of like basically a ambulance bed thing, so they can just kind of like haul you in and out, whatever. They brought that into the nurse's office, like these two, ambulance people. And shortly after, the principal came in after them, and my mother. I was like, oh my god, Gary, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, I feel good now, mother. Like, I don't know, I feel fine. Trust me. And the ambulance people were like saying, like, oh, how was the pain? I was like, well, it was, really painful. Like, I felt like it felt like a balloon was inflating in my intestine, like here. But I feel perfectly fine now. Like, I don't feel anything. It just kind of stopped. And, you know, the two ambulance guys are just like looking at each other like, okay. And they asked me, do you have any past, like, you know, things that involve like past diseases or illnesses that affect your stomach or something? I'm like, yeah, I have one. It's like leaky gut or something. And I remember I was diagnosed with something called leaky gut. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. I don't know. I don't really have it anymore. I really felt it either, but I was diagnosed with something like similar, like to that name. But apparently it doesn't exist because the two EMT guys, are they called EMT? Why do they call them EMT? Are they like emergency medical trainees, or I don't know. But I was gonna call them the ambulance guys. That's probably not the right way to call them, but I'm sorry. But thank you for your work, by the way. Those people, you guys really do great help, especially in my scenario. So, yeah, they just looked at each other and were like, leaky gut doesn't exist. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't exist? I was diagnosed with it. But I don't know, I guess it doesn't exist. I mean, these are the medical professionals, so they were like, yeah, no, that sounds made up, dude. Like, I think you're good. I'm like, okay, I think so too. And then the principal comes like, oh, are you good? Are you good? And like, yeah, you know, and he just like starts chatting with my mother. And I'm like, ah, God, wait, what the heck? Just what's going on now? What's going on, man? But my mother was like, you know, my mother's being mothers, you know, she's worried. I'm like, oh my god, like, you know, I was called here, I had to get out of work. I'm like, I know, Mom, sorry. I you know, yeah, I really did feel it. But, yeah. Then my mother drove me home. Then my dad drove me to the, you know, ceremony for the crew thing, because that was that night. Um, let me give you this scenario. Especially in the beginning, cruise seasons, I didn't really talk to anyone. I wasn't really friends with anyone either. Like, no one really talked to me. And I just remember hearing them all say, like, oh man, like, I wonder what that lockdown was all about. Like, you saw, like, that, ambulance bed thing, like, going into, like, the nurse office. Like, must have been serious or something. I'm like, yeah, it must have been. Like, just in my head. And, I did tell, like, a few of them the story, though, because, you know, with a kind of story like that, you have to tell someone. Hey, truck. Oh, the truck has something. I wasn't paying attention to that. But, you know, you just kind of have to tell someone, like, you know, a story like that, because it's nuts. It's really nuts. But, no one seemed to care, really. They were like, oh, okay. Like, that actually what happened? I'm like, yeah. They're like, alright, well, life's life, I guess. I'm like, what? It's like, that was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. You know? Like, I was in pain. Like, gut-wrenching pain. Like, I never had that pain before. And then I farted it out. And the ambulance came. And my mother and the principal. Like, I don't know. Just messed up. It's really messed up. And like, you know, and like no one cared. I was like, what? I was like, alright, whatever. And I even forgot about the story. Like I wasn't gonna talk about it. I was actually gonna talk about chocolate cookie story, which is I guess another story for another time. But yeah. So there you go. There was the time I thought I had a appendicitis or something. I think it's called appendicitis. Yeah, no, it is called appendicitis. I know. I'm 95% sure it's called appendicitis. Most definitely. There's a trash bag there. Ooh, a lake. Look at that. Lakes are pretty in Maine. Very pretty in Maine. But yeah. I'm gonna try to find like a nice landmark to pit stop on. Ooh, this one looks like a Yeah, here's like an empty space. That's easy to remember. Here we go. Ooh, doing this all with a mouse, by the way, as you can tell. There you go. Yeah, so that's about it. That wraps up this video. But I actually have one more mini story to talk about. It's only going to take a minute though. So basically, I really do say basically a lot. Jeez. Anyways, I also say that a lot too. But anyway, my sister had a friend who had appendicitis for like 2 months, and he's like a football player or he did like rugby, for like during that time too, and like he just kind of shrugged the pain off, like he didn't even think about it, and it wasn't until like my sister asked him like you should really get that checked out, and he was like, yeah, you know what, fine, I'm gonna go to a place, and he did, and it turned out he had appendicitis, so he had to get surgery for it because it's been months without taking care of it. So I don't know how the heck he did it, but it must have been not that bad, I guess. Like he was able to like play rugby with it. No clue, no clue. But yeah, that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Um, hope the story made sense too. I think it was a little all over the place. But yeah. Hope you have a nice day. Merry Christmas, even though it's not Christmas. And eat vegetables, do yoga, and thank you for watching.